Another story on the front of the Age that caught my eye, Tanvir, push to follow NZ on tobacco endgame. Tobacco-controlled experts have urged the federal government to join New Zealand in pursuing endgame reforms that could eliminate smoking and dramatically close the gap in life expectancy between Indigenous and white Australians. As the Ardern government introduced legislation designed to make tobacco products non-addictive and prohibit the sale of cigarettes to future generations, anti-tobacco campaigners said the Australian government needed to resume its global leadership role. Tanvir, I feel like people aren't really talking about cigs anymore. They're all talking about vaping. But would something as hardcore as what New Zealand have installed work in Australia?
Look, I'm not so sure, and I find it curious this story's out at the same time that or any restrictions on alcohol have been lifted to Aboriginals in the Northern Territory. So it's an interesting contradiction on many levels. Look, the reality is we have some amongst the lowest smoking rates in the world. Would this help Aboriginal groups? Possibly, but yeah, the hypocrisy is amazing. It's a classic case where tobacco bad, we add sort of these virtues and to a lot of it, whether it's energy or even some of these products. I'm not convinced. I think already we have some of the highest taxes in the world. We have some of the lowest rates in the world. I think the restrictions are extremely strong. You're right, vaping is sort of taking over many of the debates, and its main purpose is to help people quit smoking. Look, it's not an unreasonable debate, but I find the hypocrisy amazing given its timing.
Yeah, I just can't believe if you're still smoking, I don't even know how you even afford it anymore. But let's move on now to the Sydney Morning Herald, Daisy, and this story has been floating around for what feels like years now. Manly to wear the jersey with pride. Manly coach Des Hasler has supported his club's move to wear a rainbow jersey, but expressed regret for the way that the Sea Eagles handled the rollout of the playing strip. Hasler also spoke of his concerns for the welfare of the 7 players who have opted to boycott tomorrow's NRL game on cultural and religious grounds. Daisy, I don't know about you, but I think that all the air that we feel towards this story should be directed squarely and fairly at the feet of the administrators of the Sea Eagles. Nothing to do with the players and nothing to do with the coach.
I think so. I mean, what's clearly happened here, I think, there's obviously been just a total lack of consultation with the players, which would seem completely ridiculous and really taking them for granted since they're the ones who have to agree to wear the jerseys in question. So, you know, like it or not, you know, there are people out there who have cultural and religious beliefs, and while, you know, they don't wish gay people or the LGBT community any harm, they don't approve of the LGBT community because of whatever their various religions say. That's not a view that I agree with, but the reality of the matter is that there are people who do hold those views. And as we've seen, say, in the case of Israel Folau, and now here, there are a number of them who play on football teams. So it is just unfortunate, this assumption that everyone is going to somehow agree to wear the LGBT pride jersey, which is much a political statement nowadays as it is a statement of inclusivity. So my question is, why, particularly when we see what happened with Israel Folau, why was there just seemingly no consultation with the players at all? So you end up with this horribly awkward situation where these players are put totally on the spot. It's terrible PR for the club. The coach is being put out the front and made to take the fall. But as you say, this is the fault of the administrators, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
Jen, I just wanted to add a bit. Can I just add, it was one of the funniest speeches, NRL speeches ever. Des has invoked Gandhi, Robert Putnam, a Harvard professor, neurodiversity. It was peak identity politics. And what's next? Peter Vlandis at the United Nations. Darren Lockyer will give the State of the Union. It was at the height of ridicule, this little episode.
Yeah, look, if Darren Lockyer was given the State of the Union, I'd definitely tune into that because that was, I think, the great man had quite a few good things to say.